The distress signal carved through the void like a scream in silence. A desperate pulse of quantum-encrypted data that rippled across subspace frequencies most civilized species had long ago abandoned. Too dangerous, they said. Too volatile. The kind of wavelengths that could fry neural implants and scramble navigation systems. But humanity had never been accused of being civilized. Commander Elsa Vance stood on the bridge of the UHSF Indomitable, her steel-gray eyes fixed on the holographic display that flickered before her. The signal was weak, fragmentary, but unmistakable in its urgency. Behind her, the crew worked in controlled chaos, their fingers dancing across haptic interfaces as they tried to clean up the transmission. "Location confirmed, Commander," said Lieutenant Farad Khan, his dark hand steady over the tactical console despite the tension that electrified the air. "Kepler 442 system, 4th planet. That's deep in the quarantine zone." Elsa's jaw tightened. The quarantine zone. A region of space so irradiated and unstable that the Galactic Council had declared it off-limits 3 centuries ago. No one went there. No one survived there. "Play the message again," she ordered. The bridge fell silent as the transmission crackled to life. It was in Trader's Cant, the universal language of commerce, but the voice behind it trembled with terror that transcended translation. "A catastrophic failure. Colony dying. Radiation shields failing. Please, anyone. We are Viridian. 3,000 soul-side children, please." The message dissolved into static. "Viridians," murmured Ensign Park from the communication station. "I thought they were extinct." "They were supposed to be," Farad said quietly. "Lost colony, maybe? But that system's been dead for generations." Elsa turned to face her crew. 23 humans, all volunteers, all products of Earth. A planet the rest of the galaxy called a death world. A planet where the gravity crushed bones, the atmosphere corroded metal. The predators evolved alongside prey in an endless arms race of violence and adaptation, where sapient life emerged not in spite of the danger but because of it. "How long until we can reach them?" she asked. Farad consulted his readouts. 72 hours at maximum burn. "But Commander, the radiation levels in that system. Will our shields hold?" He hesitated. "Ours will. Human engineering. Triple redundant systems, lead titanium composite plating. We designed these ships to fly through solar flares. But a Viridian colony ship? Their shielding was always delicate, optimized for efficiency over durability. If they're still alive, it's a miracle. Then we can't waste it." Elsa's voice cut through the uncertainty like a blade. "Helm, set course for Kepler 442. Maximum burn. All hands prepare for radiation protocol." The Indomitable was not alone. Within the hour, 3 more human vessels joined formation, the frigates Defiant and Relentless, and the medical transport Mercy's Hand. 4 ships crewed by Deathworlders, racing toward a graveyard to answer a cry for help no one else could hear. The journey was brutal. Even with their advanced shielding, radiation warnings screamed constantly. Crew members rotated through duty shifts, limiting exposure. Farad coordinated with the other ships, calculating approach vectors that would minimize their time in the hottest zones. "Why do you think the Council abandoned them?" he asked Elsa during a rare quiet moment in the ready room. She stared at the star chart, at the angry red zone that marked the quarantine. "Because saving them would have cost too much. Resources, ships, lives. The math didn't work." "And for us?" Elsa's smile was grim. "We're from Earth, Lieutenant. We've never been good at math when lives are on the line." 70 hours later, the Indomitable dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. The radiation readings were apocalyptic. The star itself was unstable, hemorrhaging deadly particles in irregular pulses, and there, on the 4th planet, a cluster of faint power signatures marked the Viridian colony, still alive, barely. "Hail them," Elsa commanded. The face that appeared on the view screen was gaunt, scaled skin tinged gray with radiation sickness. Large luminous eyes widened in disbelief. "You? You came," the Viridian whispered. "You actually came. But you're humans?" "UHSF Indomitable responding to your distress call," Elsa said crisply. "We're here to evacuate your people." "How many can be moved?" "All of them, but—" the Viridian's voice cracked. "The radiation. Our ships are dead. We've been trapped here for weeks. How did you even survive the approach?" "We're from Earth," Farad interjected, leaning into view. "We're used to hostile environments." The rescue operation was a nightmare choreographed with precision. The human ships couldn't land. The surface radiation would overwhelm even their shields. Instead, they deployed armored shuttles, small craft piloted by volunteers in heavy-duty EVA suits. Faret led the first wave personally, guiding his shuttle through a storm of charged particles that would have shredded lesser vessels. The Viridian colony was a tomb of dying technology and desperate hope. Families huddled in shielded chambers, their elegant architecture crumbling around them. Children too weak to walk were carried by adults who could barely stand. And through it all, the humans worked with relentless efficiency, ferrying survivors to the waiting ships in a continuous stream. "Why are you doing this?" one Viridian elder asked Elsa as he was helped aboard the Indomitable. "Your people owe us nothing. The council would have left us to die." Elsa knelt to meet his eyes, this fragile being from a gentle world who had never known Earth's cruelty or its compassion. "We heard you," she said simply. "That's enough." By the time the last shuttle docked, the human ships were overcrowded, their life support systems straining. 3,000 Viridian refugees filled every available space, wrapped in thermal blankets, receiving medical care from human doctors who worked tirelessly. As the fleet prepared to jump to safety, Faret stood beside Elsa on the bridge, watching the dying star recede. "The council is going to have questions," he said. "Let them ask." Elsa's voice was steel wrapped in warmth. "We'll tell them the truth. When someone screams into the void, humans answer. That's what Deathworlders do." The Indomitable leaped into FTL, carrying its precious cargo toward civilization. Behind them, the quarantine zone continued its slow death. But within the hull, 3,000 voices whispered in wonder about the species that heard what others refused to, that walked through fire because someone needed them to. Humanity had earned another reputation that day, not as warriors or survivors, but as something far more dangerous to the calculus of the galaxy, a species that believed some equations were meant to be broken,